today, Chrissy's going to be honest here, and maybe a little bit more honest than some of you men at home would like.
I'll try to be honest and not defensive for my fellow Filipinas.
We're going to actually talk about why a Filipina chose her man. And what you do with that answer is up to you. Chrissy, we had a 36-day long-distance relationship. We did Dr. Annan's 36 questions to rapidly enhance intimacy, and I think we believed we fell in love with each other somewhere around day 14 or 15. And I was very anxious to come and meet you, but I have to be totally honest. I was so pleased to meet you in person. You're prettier, thinner, more petite, effervescent. That was all awesome, but I was just not comfortable in my skin at first. I wasn't sure if the long distance relationship was going to really translate into an in-person relationship. And I just didn't know what to make of it for the first few hours. Very quickly though, Chrissy, there was an honesty, there was attentiveness, there was warmth, there was just an ease of connection. It was so different from meeting a woman in person back in the West. It just was another world I'd entered into.
Honestly speaking, the moment I saw you in the airport, I thought to myself, you are younger looking than how you present yourself as 66 years old. Yeah, this is very honest.
A flattery will get you everywhere.
And honestly, the feelings that we shared online is deep, but it became deeper in person.
I wasn't sure I could believe my eyes and ears. People back home had told me I was out of my mind, that you would be interested in only one thing, money.
Well, that's already the default of everyone's mind when Filipina meets or marries foreigner. Well, honestly, Filipinas, when they're like very warm at you, kind at you, it doesn't mean she's really in love with you right away. They're observing still, but because we're naturally polite and kind and caring, we show you what's the natural us.
We could misunderstand friendship for romance.
But I know that a lot of Filipinas in the very beginning of the relationship, they're also like torn apart within, is this guy's gonna be a good man for the future or the guy that will just play our hearts? In the Philippines, a lot of Filipinas, most of the Filipinas doesn't want to play a game. We are like more committed compared to the Western style of dating.
You do enter into very strong relationships very fast.
Yeah.
You don't really date. You only would date because you thought marriage was potential.
We date to marry.
You date to marry.
Yes.
It's very different from the West. You know, Chrissy, just an aside, we did a video last week and we got 1,100 comments. And we are together 3 years, married about 1.5 years. Boy, there were a lot of opinions. We experienced a lot of trolling, people telling us our relationship was soon to crash and burn. Others gave us a lot of reassurance and passed along their blessings. But boy, people have an opinion when it comes to whether there's anything in an age gap relationship other than a one-dimensional cash transaction.
Well, cash or money is always involved in any relationship in the world. Like, a lot of Filipinas will also put their standards, what kind of man they want to have in the future. Like, we're also thinking in advance, if I'm gonna marry this man, what's my life gonna be? What's my children gonna look like? And how's the genes, you know? And a lot of women that wanting relationship to marry doesn't want to waste time. If you're started to date, you have to see if the man has a plan for the marriage or the future. Because if you're dating without that plan, we find it useless. Like, what are we doing here? What's the purpose of being in a relationship if we have no future plan?
Yeah. A lot of the men watching our channel are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, divorced, separated, trying to figure out whether coming to the Philippines and meeting someone like you is the right next move in their life. And many times they're a little bit more open. The armor's off. They've worked through their separation. They've worked through their divorce. They've learned to love themselves again, and they're ready to meet someone like you. And when they do meet somebody who is not just taking advantage of them and represents that they want to be in a relationship, they tend to be a little bit more exposed and vulnerable, which is a nice thing kind of when a man will allow himself to be seen and transparent and risk being hurt. And because of that, when they do meet someone like you, sometimes they're not as forceful with trying to sort out why she chose him. What do you say to the man who is possibly blinded by youth or beauty and feels lucky enough to have engaged with a young Filipino and a relationship and a friendship starts to build, but he hasn't quite sorted out what's behind her interest in him?
One thing that you should know is that Filipina notice if you have self-insecurity. If you're going to show your vulnerability to the Filipina, they will see it. They will see that you have the tendency to put the Filipina in high pedestal because you felt so lucky to find her. And if you're going to show that, you will never know if the Filipina responds to that because she felt the same or she just want to go on with the game and making you feel like you're lucky.
Yeah, for maybe a financial benefit or a family benefit or a job benefit or a move to the US benefit, or just she's lonely too.
A lot of things that needs to be discovered, and sometimes it's the man's weakness, you know, because the man will tend to give away whatever he has just because he felt that the Filipina is the prize, and the Filipina will feel it that, you know,
she'll feel it. She'll gain power.
She'll gain power, and that's weakness as well.
You know, Chrissy, a lot of men watching have just gone through the gauntlet of dating in the West, where they're invisible. Women feel somewhat entitled. They're trying to live this Instagram life. The men no longer quite fit in. And when they meet someone like you, they're a little disarmed. I think they're not quite sure how to proceed. We always say that the men are the scarcity. There's actually tens of thousands of people like yourself from small towns, educated, who are wanting to enter into an age gap relationship. And the man is the more scarce of the two. But he has a difficulty identifying the right partner to go forward. So when somebody latches onto him, why do you think he's a little shy to figure out what is the real depth of her feeling, what drives her motivation?
I think it started on yourself. If you self-pity, if you're not moving on yet on your previous divorce and you still remember what your previous wife or exes told you about your weaknesses, it's going to also affect the way you show your self-esteem.
Yeah.
The Filipino will see it. And a lot of Filipinas that are really into real relationship will be turned off to that because what they wanted in life, most of the Filipinas are a leader. They want a leader. They don't want somebody like a puppy that will just follow whatever she's going to say. She wanted to have a man in the relationship. And for a Filipina that wants to manipulate you, they will be looking for a man that is very weak in himself so that it's going to be so easy to be manipulated and, you know, to be just played around.
So what men really want to know, Chrissy, is what else besides financial security is driving their attachment to these foreign men? You know, you made a good point. On the way out the door of a divorce, you always get the gift of some criticism, and it can take a year or two to get that parting gift out of your head. And I think most of the men watching have worked through it and have gotten that out of their head, and they're starting to love themselves. What can you tell them? They meet a beautiful woman. It doesn't compute. When we met, I was 66. You were 29. I couldn't believe it. I kept pinching myself. How could this be? How could this be? And my relatives were saying, it's the money. It's the money. What else was driving you? What else was appealing about an age gap relationship besides the financial security?
Okay. Personally, I'm not speaking to a lot of Filipinas yet, just my own experience. When I met you, that was the first time I felt like being loved without conditions, without something in return. Like, unconditional love. Other thing than money, financial assistance and better future, what I see also is the exotic kind of relationship, to give and take of the culture, learning together. And I really like that. It's kind of like a good engagement of two people coming from different worlds and different cultures. Other than maturity and being the man in the relationship, I think a lot of Filipinas will find foreigners to be, the beauty is different. Some other Filipinas also want some exotic kids. So that's also some of the goals. So a lot of people were telling us that tomorrow or next year or 5 years later, I'm going to leave you.
Thank you.
Because I'm only up with your money. So I don't see it in our relationship, because when we talk about money, you're not a multimillionaire man.
Right.
When you say assets, we're both working for it. So I think what I see in our relationship is real connection, real love. It's not being measured by money, not even with genes, because we're not having a child.
Right. Now, our first year, Chrissy, we had about a $2,500 US monthly income that we spent. That was our budget. It wasn't until the second and third year of our relationship that we started to kind of blossom on YouTube, and you started doing these social media investigations, and we do the big brother and little sister. So I didn't lead with my money. I guess the question is, a lot of men, they meet a beautiful young woman, everything's going so well. Why don't they want to ask, what is it she sees in him? What does she like in him? Why doesn't she, she says, oh, I love your nose. I love your sense of humor. She's got all the charm school stuff, but he doesn't. How come he's shy to ask?
Because he doesn't want to know what the answer is. And sometimes as well, asking that question is very personal, very confrontational. And as a nature of Filipino, we're not confrontational. It could also make a gap or a leak on the relationship, that you got to ask that you're doubtful why the Filipinas with you. You don't have to ask the question. You will know the answer by staying together for 6 months, staying together for a year, seeing the pattern of her asking of financial support. So there's going to be a pattern that will tell you exactly what's the answer of that particular question. Why is the Filipinas with you? If she's with you because she want to have a Filipino foreigner child, she's going to keep asking for it. And then you know the answer. What's one of the reasons why she's with you? If she's, it's so hard to measure real love. Because money is always a big thing when it comes to relationship. A lot of Filipinas will not marry a broke man. And I think not just Filipinas, but women in the world. Because how can you be a man if you can't support financially?
Yeah. Chrissy, I bumped into this article about the two marriage counselors, Dr. Annan and his wife, and they developed these 36 questions. They're in our book, our 300-page travel guide, which you can buy on Amazon. And I have a free PDF. Just write me and say, how to win online PDF, or Dr. Annan's 36 questions. I think this is a spectacular way to rapidly enhance intimacy. That's what the graduate students and the whole experiment was designed. And wow, I have had the personal experience with you, which was overwhelming. And I've had 3 dozen clients write to me and say, "Oh my God, Rob, I had the same experience. We're moving forward.
Yeah.
We got to really fall in love with each other that night." So that's a good way to, if you want to know a little bit more without asking, if you want to see if she's engaged in doing this questionnaire with you, write to me and we'll share it with you. So Chrissy, Filipina, she's not looking for a father figure, is she?
No, she's looking for safety. And when it comes to safety, it could be financial, emotional safety, leadership safety. Look, you always tell our clients to love yourself, and then the universe will see it, and your love for yourself will attract a person that will also love you truly. Now, what are the positive things that you see in yourself? If you see that you are financially stable, and that's the only thing you see. If you're gonna love a Filipina, that's what you're gonna believe. The Filipina love you because you're financially stable. But if you believe that yourself can provide leadership, can provide emotional safety, can provide kindness, patience, and a lot of good things about yourself, evaluate yourself. When you love a Filipina, that's what she's gonna see from you.
So if you're 28 years old and you have been cheated on, or your husband had a motorcycle accident, or he turned to an addiction, your choices here in the Philippines are not, you don't find a lot of men who are leaders and financially secure, who love themselves without bad habits.
You know, it's very general if I'm gonna say we cannot find here in the Philippines. Probably there is, but most of the Filipinas have traumatic experience when it comes to relationship. They might have an experience to be with a man that is very irresponsible. He's not an addict. He doesn't drink, but very irresponsible. Or some other men that are rich, but they cannot provide the emotional safety. They cheat.
Because a lot of the local men have bad habits, and you can't gain confidence in them. What happens when a foreign man leads with his resources, but he has a pretty heavy social drinking habit, and he smokes a cigar, maybe he gambles a little bit, maybe he is a little too attentive to other women in the Philippines. Is this a man that the average Filipina is going to have trouble warming up to?
Yes. Getting a right Filipina and you have all these bad habits is very hard. Like, if you wanted to have an ideal Filipina, you should be ideal yourself. Like, a Filipina that will put up all the deal breakers, because generally these are all deal breakers. So it means she's a risk taker, and she can put up something that is not good with you. It means that she's not that good as well.
So how does a man find out if he's met a young Filipina who's got herself in a tight spot financially? She's under a lot of family pressure to be a breadwinner. She is looking for an option, either to go overseas, maybe as an overseas foreign worker and leave her child behind, or to meet one of our clients watching, and she's under a lot of pressure. She doesn't really want to leave her children behind. How does he know that she really loves him, that she's a woman who is worth pursuing, that it could last 3 years, and unlike what a lot of people have been writing, it could last 10, 20 years? How does he judge that? How does he figure that out?
When she'll make you the priority. If she's gonna make you the priority, then whatever will make you comfortable, she'll go with it. If you're not comfortable supporting all the members of the family, the moment you will tell her and she will say, "I understand, I love you, and I love you more than anything else in the world. We can talk about it. We can modify about, find a solution." But not totally not helping the family at all.
Right.
We are, in our mind, it's a default. We grow up being trained that one day you're going to have a job, you're going to support your siblings, even you're not the eldest, and you're going to pay back your parents. So we grow up being, trained like that. So the breadwinner mentality is being planted in our minds since we're kids.
So aren't the men susceptible to being charmed into believing the woman is truly in love until she gets a house, until her parents get a house, until she gets resources, only until the money runs out or until she's got independence. Aren't they? They are at risk, but how can they proceed in a way like what we said earlier? Sometimes they don't want to really ask. Like, it's too good to be true. Don't rock the boat. Just show up, have a love affair, proceed. They don't want to know her background. They don't want to know her social media. They don't want to drill into the relatives too hard. It's a beautiful thing. Let's make it happen. But they can run into trouble down the road.
Yeah. Well, try to apply a little bit of resistance. Like, do not give everything that your Filipina asks. And real Filipina that is in love with you, she's gonna stay. But the Filipina that is only taking advantage of you and looking forward of the financial that you can give in the future will not stay if you're gonna put a little bit of resistance. Because for them, that's a sign that you have self-control, that you have the control in your hand. And when they think that this man is very self-controlled and self-disciplined, this is not the kind of guy that I can take advantage of. I'm gonna switch to the other one that is vulnerable and insecure about himself.
You know, a lot of people wrote us and said, dude, you've only been together 3 years. Like, you know, we've been, or like my ex-wife, you know, took the house and, you know, and, we were happily married 8 years. One day she just locked me out. The other guy says, we've been married 30 years. When you've been 30 years, you can talk about it. A lot of people had opinions. They didn't just all say that you were secretly packing your bags in the background. And one of the most interesting things recently, Chrissy, is you started to do these extensive background searches on women, and you advertise it, trust but verify. A lot of the clients, I'd say half, are men who've already met the Filipinas. And this has been very, very interesting because the pass-fail rate is actually the same for men who've never met and men who have met. The percentage of women who are hiding things in their background and didn't share it is pretty high, and that's kind of surprising. There are, I think, 3 types of men we've run into without breaking confidentiality. Quite often we see men who start to share their money before they arrive, and then they become very generous when they are here. And the more generous they are, the more frequent the requests for money are. And this sort of rattles the men and makes them very unsure as to whether the relationship is strictly transactional or there's a love component. Now, some people, they don't believe you could have love for a man as old as me. They just don't believe it. But I've always dated women my own age, or my ex-wife was a year older, and I feel the quality of this relationship is as good or better actually, than any I've ever been in. And I have no regrets having entered into this relationship with you. And whatever the future brings, but I will have this 3 years and cherish it. And, you know, the future may never come, and we're here today, and I am loving every minute of it. And my goal today is for men to understand from you, when a man starts sending money before he arrives, and then he's willing to send the kid to the best college, to buy the best laptop, to buy the best cell phone, to spend the most money, to take care of the most family members without a job associated with it. Could he have gotten on the wrong track right from the get-go, right from the beginning? Is it him only, or did he possibly meet the wrong Filipina who's pulling on a string?
Well, like what you said before, Filipinas are like a puppy. The way they interact with you, they're so sweet, they're so kind, and foreigners sometimes will misinterpret it as love. So it's easy to just pick the wrong Filipina. To find the right Filipina is very difficult because you have to go through a lot of process. You know, the review of social media, testing the Filipina. You have to test the Filipina, her
Health,
loyalty.
family.
Yes, the health and family. There's a lot of things to go through. If you feel like you found the right one, but you haven't done the process yet, you should ask yourself. Actually, those people who hired us for the social media reviews, I find them the people who love themselves. They protect themselves. Because if they just don't care about themselves, they're just gonna go on without checking the Filipina and just sending a lot of money. And for the people who are doubtful about age gap relationship, to see is to believe, but seeing us is not enough. I think to taste it, to taste the sweet of a strawberry will be the reason for you to believe about age gap
And I think that's what everybody should do. They should proceed with caution. They should never forget that they're the more valuable and more scarce commodity. They should always vet, they should always hire hard, and they should proceed with caution. They should never send money, obviously, and they should never assume that the woman is actually in love with you until they walk the walk and talk the talk. Now, Chrissy, we have been together pretty much every single moment for 3 years. We worked together. I went back to the United States twice for 21 days and for 14 days. Other than that, I don't think we've been further than arm's reach from each other the whole time. I've played a few rounds of golf without you, then you learned how to play golf. So that's like dog years, working together. A lot of men will have a woman who will want to work or will work, and it's not like dog years. You could have this long distance artificial relationship. She might have a decent job. She gets a few days off when you visit. Maybe you take her to a 5-star resort for a week, meet the parents, and back to work she goes. Even if you stay, it's a very artificial, thin gruel. You don't really get to know the person. You can see when they're tired and irritable from work. That's real life. But you're not building up a lot of hours, quality hours of companionship, of partnership. And I think there's a type of man who doesn't lead with his money, but meets a real woman with a real life and kids and relatives and responsibilities. And he now has to figure out what that companionship and partnership really looks like. It's really important that he spend enough time together.
Yes.
And he holds off forcing the marriage, forcing the live together maybe. Spend a few months before living together. Spend 6 months before a full engagement. Spend more time before the wedding. And don't throw money at this new relationship, because that's going to mask all these other small things that you're trying to get to the bottom of. And that's a second type of man. Now, there's a third type of man, Chrissy, and this is the man who brings the woman back to the West or to his home country or to Europe. And, I think marrying a Filipina is probably have a higher chance of success than a woman from the West. However, I had this PhD consulting client, and he said, Rob, in Arizona where you were from, it's like 55% divorce. Throw in an age gap, 10 points. Throw in a different religion, 10 more points. Throw in a different culture, add 10. I think it was 110 points percentage chance of failure. His point was, if you meet somebody from a foreign culture and a foreign religion and a foreign language and everything's so different.
Yeah.
And we have heard dozens of anecdotal stories, and you can go on the bulletin boards, Facebook groups, and you can find them. Men who brought a woman to the West, she gets a job, she meets Filipinas who like to party, and they say, hey, what are you doing with that 70-year-old? Come on, we're going to the club, we're celebrating a birthday, we're celebrating, join us. And Filipinas are joiners. And very quickly they fall in with a bad element. They start to drink, they start to party, they start to go to the nightclubs. And these marriages don't last. As soon as the woman gains access to an independent stream of income, has a green card. And how can a man, sort through that? How does he vet it in the early stages?
It's very important that at the very beginning of the relationship, you have to ask your Filipina what is her goals in the relationship and what is her 5 years or 10-year time frame plan.
What is your goal? What is your 10-year time frame?
To have this kind of relationship that we have right now, I'm very contented.
Did you ever want to be a YouTuber?
We're not millionaires. We're not millionaires, but we're so happy.
We're building a $35,000 house in the mountains.
This YouTube is just a bonus from the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't really expect this. Now, talking about finding the ones, Filipinas as well are also finding their ones. you know. And for finding that, it's not that they just gonna grasp it from the universe, but also they have goals, they have this list of standards. Okay, Filipinas are looking for the ones. If she's looking for a millionaire, a 40-year-old guy, a masculine guy, with biceps, with big house, don't pretend to be that guy if you're not. Or else, you're just barking the wrong tree.
Yeah.
She's not the Filipina for you and you're not the guy for her. So it's not bad if the Filipina will present, I wanted to build a house for my parents. That's my goal. If you're not that guy, don't pretend to be the one. Or else, both of you will just be playing yourselves. You're just pretending to be a match. So, and it's gonna give you financial pressure as well. So if you're gonna ask her, what's your plan in the future? And she will say, my future plan is that I wanna have a house for myself, 3 kids, and I wanna live in the USA. And if that's not your plan, then tell her, well, I'm not that guy. Yeah. The number one mistake that the guy makes is that they pretend to be the guy that the Filipino wanted. The Filipino wanted to be the rich guy, so you give and give and give to make her feel like you're rich, you know? To just supply her demands. And you just forgot about yourself. What's your goal? What's your future plan? Are you willing to change your future plan for her future plan? Or you want to get a woman that has the same plan as you? Go ahead and ask in a very polite way.
Women are always looking for safety and security. There's always a economy happening. And to those of you who want to claim it's 100% economy only, well, you know, you haven't walked in our shoes. You haven't felt the happiness that we've had. You haven't lived the 3 years that we've been together face to face. And we can tell you only it is possible. Now, whether it lasts 100 years, 20 years, 15 years, it doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is right now, it feels right. I've done my due diligence. I've put in my time before getting engaged. I put in my time before getting married. I put in my time before buying a used car, before buying a $35,000 house in the mountain. If you love a woman and you love her with all your heart and you've move slowly, you've gotten to know her, you have an equilibrium in place, you feel good about the relationship, you can move slowly when it comes to buying a small piece of titled land. You can move slowly like we did. We bought a piece of land way up here in the mountains and the house is going to cost $35,000.
I think the best way to say it is don't spend anything you couldn't afford to
That's exactly. That was the number one of the men who said, go ahead and buy your wife a house. The theme that kept coming back and back and back is never spend more than you can afford to walk away from. So, Chrissy, it's all about not moving too fast, financially, legally, with children, moving to another country. Slow down, vet. Chrissy and I are available to do a background search on social media. We offer big brother, little sister consulting. In a perfect world, you'd have an older brother and his wife who could help you on planning your travel, helping you understand the culture and maybe the woman and her family, knowing how to move from A to B here, someone to call if you lose your wallet. We've done that for hundreds and hundreds of men, and it's available to you. There's a link in the description box and the first pinned comment. Chrissy, you've got this relationship assessment test. It's so easy. You can put the video on pause, scan the barcode, take a screenshot on your mobile device, and you can take this 41-question survey about your relationship, especially if you're new and haven't met yet, but half of your clients have already met in person. This week, we're doing 6 and half have met in person. It's been pretty consistent. People feel like they missed first base and now they're stuck on second or third. They're not sure, they want to race to home. And they figure, I better go back and tag the bag. And so take the relationship test, write us for the How to Win Online PDF for free. Go to Amazon, buy our best-selling 300-page Philippines guidebook. You can write to us for our Dumaguete City Guide. That's free. And we have a book on how to date online called A Western Man's Guide to Dating in Asia and the Philippines. We just finished it 2.5 months ago. That's free. So Also, Chrissy, if they want to talk to us for 10 minutes, just go to the consultation calendar. There's a free 10-minute meet and greet. Anybody wants to say hello.
Yes, we will be more than happy to help you walk through success in the Philippines. Just email us at flymetothephilippines@gmail.com. And the question, how are you gonna know if the Filipina really loves you or her feelings is really true to you?
Well, you got to move forward. You got to get off the couch. You can't just sit there going to the next YouTube. If you want something like what you see that Chrissy and I have, if you feel like it could be real for you, we can help, or you can just help yourself take the first move. It's either time to start dying or it's time to start living.